So you put it.
Another place the Quran talks about how this is a quintessence min sulalatin min ma'in mahin. If I'm not mistaken, this is how the Quran goes. Sulala, very quintessence. So the Quran says there is this reproductive fluid, the ejaculate, but not all of it is involved in the creation of man, but they are necessary because they provide all of the nutrients, the enzymes, and all the factors for the procreation to take place successfully. Okay. So it describes a quintessence within the fluid, which is described elsewhere as clearly using the word nutfa. So Quran is correct in every single level, saying this particular fluid that is emitted comes out from these two reference points, which it does.
Okay.
You are disputing this. I'm saying scientifically you cannot dispute this because I've shown you the scientific paper, I've shown you an anatomical description of it, so it's fine. Your only objection,
let's conclude.
But your only objection seems to be that why doesn't the Quran only talk about nutfa? Quran talks about elsewhere about nutfa, but this place it highlights something interesting. It asking men to ponder. You're not just only created from a sperm. That sperm came from a mixture of fluids so that it could procreate and create another offspring. All of these we came to know recently. This is the knowledge of modern science that we realize the secretions of the seminal vesicles, the prostatic secretions and so on are really something that helps the motility of the sperm to reach to its destination. If you had none of this mechanism present, do you think a baby would really produce? You have to produce in a test tube, my friend. But the way the human physiology is this, all of these anatomical parts and their components are necessary for the safe transmission and passage of the human reproductive substance which creates another human being. That is what the Quran is saying. Have you not pondered on and reflected on the creation of your own self? That is the point I'm making, my friend.
Before I want to conclude, so that we go on another topic, or maybe if you want to leave back. The point is, as I raised earlier, if you ask somebody, do you know what you were, what made you, what created you? Have you thought about it? Of course, in the human system, we know you have to eat, and the food has to digest, and some of produce nutrient, proteins, and all that for your body to grow. So we know that. So somebody can also say man is created from food, because you eat the food and it digests, and they give you the sperm eventually. Yes, from what we eat. Another person will say before man can even have a baby, the system has to function well. The blood from, the brain has to be correct. The blood circulates, pump well in the heart, and then the male get up and then it can, give the sperm to the woman. So if we want to go into how man or baby is created, there are so many things we can discuss. But when it says, have you pondered from what you were created from, it is logical that it's talking about how you were, your mother conceived in you. And what made a woman to conceive is the sperm. So my question again, if he's asking you to ponder on what you were created from, and it's not talking about sperm, because sperm is not mentioned, but even if you say fluid, which he says that fluid ejected from between the ribs and the backbone, then it doesn't explain clearly, what I should ponder upon, on the fluid or on the sperm or on both. It doesn't state that. It says fluid. So if it's fluid, it can be anything, and not everything that make a baby. So I appreciate your point. If you are talking about production of sperm, you're absolutely correct, because several things will come from the system to make the sperm. But if it's talking of from what man or a baby is conceived from, then other things that made that sperm move into the woman is irrelevant because you need the seed of the man to become a baby. Although other fluid help for smooth transmission, but that fluid transmission, the fluid that causes the transmission, is not part of the baby. It doesn't make human being. It's the nutfa, which you stated is correct. Nutfa make baby, and therefore, if it's talking of the mare or water or fluid, then there's nothing to ponder upon. That's what my argument is.
Okay, let me tell you how I ponder upon, right?
Okay.
When the Quran says, let man ponder upon how he's created, right? How he's created. Don't say how, sorry. From what? Mimma khuliq. From what is created. The answer given is two-step answers. Now look at my pondering. It's created from khuliqa min ma'in dafiq, from a gushing fluid. Now the Quran, when I analyze all of the Quran contextually, I see the Quran talks about and highlights sometimes a particular component, other times another component to make a point. Here, it is not describing just with sperm, because it is describing the second part of this description, the emission of it. Because it's describing, look, I could be totally wrong, but my understanding, as far as I understand, is this. It is describing about a gushing fluid which emits from a particular reference point. We know scientifically, there's a doctor there, the gushing fluid that we're talking about, it is a mixture of the spermatozoa that are stored in the epididymis, traveling through the vas deferens, okay, all the way going up there and mixes with the prostatic secretions, the secretion of the seminal vesicles joins together, from the Cooper's glands, the bulbourethral glands, yeah. So all of this mixture come together, the bladder neck opens, and then what happens? It passes through the urethra and then it's ejaculated. So the fluid, I am now pondering, it didn't just come from your testicle, my friend. Some people might think it comes from your testicles. It doesn't. This gushing fluid, indeed, on pondering that I realize, it comes from several of those components which mix together in an area described by the Quranic reference point, the anterior of a cylinder, a human body, which is the ribs, and the posterior other side, which is the backbone, and in between, not says from one and the other, says in between, and in between you had this area of the prostates and the seminal vesicles and the ampulla and the vas deferens. They are located clearly, scientifically, anatomically within that region. So when I ponder this, I say, subhanallah, how could someone even know this when we didn't even have the knowledge of physiology available at this time? So it is quite unique. That was the second part. The first part was even more unique, because if the sperm is contained within this gushing fluid, which described ma'un dafiq, which is self-emitting, self-propelled, it is a recent knowledge within human anatomy and physiology that the spermatozoa has a tail that wiggles and it has self-motility. It is motile by itself. That is why the Quran didn't use, which is the traditional usage, should have been خُلِقَ مِن مَاءٍ مَدْفُوقٍ. It didn't say madfuq. If you look at the interpreters, they say it means ma'in madfuq. Even most of the interpreters, they thought, oh, actually it says ma'un madfuq. But the Quran says ma'un dafiq in an active form. That's something that does the emitting or propelling or motility by itself. So when the Quran says, would you not ponder when you're created? And I ponder, I say, subhanallah, this knowledge is from Allah.
Okay.
So we have to leave it
here we have the other thing, which is just the last point, which is here we said this brother, he's a doctor, and he said about the anatomy of this.
I'm not going to talk about the Quran. What I learned in the medical school is, so the spermatogenesis, that the sperm cells, which is it's synthesized, it's created in the testes, and it comes to the abdomen. So you take the abdomen is two parts. The one is the pelvic cavity and the proper abdomen. So the pelvic cavity and the proper abdomen, the intersection is defined by the place where the backbone, that we call the pelvic bone. So anterior superior iliac spine and the rib. The ribs are the covering of the pelvic cavity. So these sperms come from the pelvic cavity where all these mixtures are come. So from that point we call it as a sperm, the semen. Semen is a fluid. So it's a fluid. So
we
it
don't-
doesn't,
we-
you can't say
Sir.
the sperm cells, the actual cells, is not created there.
The
fluid
argument,
comes from the abdomen. That's completely
the argument,
The other thing,
sorry,
which is-
the argument started that it is my opinion from reading the verse that it says the fluid that made the man or man ponder. Okay, let me read it again because I don't want to misinterpret. It says, so let man observe from what he was created. So what man was created, yes? If I ask you from what man is created, what would you say? From semen or sperm, right? You give him the correct answer.
You
Straight.
said it, semen.
Semen.
Yes, semen contains sperm.
Semen, yeah. Semen is a
Sperm
fluid.
contains sperm,
Semen
right?
is the fluid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
So even the thing is, I'm a doctor. So
Yeah.
when I talk to a person or a patient,
Yeah.
I can go and talk them. So I can't tell them you are created from the spermatogenesis. I can use those terms. What
I
will tell
I
you
have
is
no
a
problem,
white color
sir.
fluid is coming, and another egg is there. So I can't tell them the ovum and the egg is there. The sperm fluid is coming and the egg is there. So the fertilization of that. That's how the human is created.
That's
why
fine.
I have explained to a person. So,
I'm coming.
So
I'm coming.
yeah.
So,
this is not it's a medical book.
the
So
question
this is for
is,
everybody. So
sir,
I think everybody should understand from the
Sir,
Quran. Yeah.
the question is, he's talking of a fluid. He didn't mention what fluid is that,
Yes.
but he says that fluid is ejected between the backbone and the rib. Okay? No any other fluid is
So the
mentioned.
backbone is here, I think. Backbone is the
where's
belly bone.
In Arabic backbone, it's all from the coccyx.
Where's the
from
no no
Adam's
the
apple to
ribs
the coccyx.
is where we measure.
That's Arabic backbone.
We measure from the
So
rib.
includes all of that part.
Okay.
Sir.
So normally we call the backbone is the belly bone.
If he says backbone and the rib, we measure where the ribs and the backbone meets.
That's the problem.
No, it's not. Because if you say
Now-
between here and here, is that what you are
And
saying?
that's what you've precisely.
I'll explain.
I want to
I'll
understand
explain
from you.
But you have now precisely made this classical mistake, which I
No.
clarified
I am
earlier
not
with
the
the
one
example.
saying.
There's another
Sir.
embryology. I'll explain you. There's another embryology is there. Before human is
Let me ask.
before human is born, you know where the testis is placed. The testis is here. Good question. The testis is here. Okay. So
I
from
don't know what you. I'm
the
talking
testis is
of
here.
what is said here. Sir.
Actually, the human
Sir.
the testis is created
It's not
here.
the testis I'm
And
talking about.
When the
What-
baby
you
is
said-
born,
you
it
said
has
what?
to travel from here to here. That's why some babies
You
are
say
born
what is
without the
here. You
testis.
say what is here.
Huh?
You say what is here.
Yeah, this from the abdomen. It's between the
No. You say what is here. The testis.
testis in the abdomen.
Testis.
Testis.
Testicles.
Testicles.
During the development of
During the development of the
What are you
human.
talking? We're talking of a full-grown man. I don't know why you're talking of a baby. We are not talking of a baby's testicle. I don't know why you're going up far.
so as I understood from you, you're saying when the two objects meet. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
It says.
After all of this explanation.
No, it says he was between the backbone and the ribs.
Yeah, where is
now,
it?
show me the backbone and the ribs. Maybe I'm wrong. Show me.
Your backbone starts from here
Yeah.
all the way to your coccyx, and your ribs
the
is
ribs?
here. Right.
Where's the
So
rib?
which place?
So between the backbone and
Yeah,
the ribs.
where is it exactly?
Point it for me.
Now, I'm asking you, point it.
You said I'm wrong, so
Yeah.
I want you to point
Yeah,
it.
okay.
If you comes up to
Wait,
here.
wait. If you allow me,
Your ribs comes up to here.
okay.
Okay.
If you
Here.
allow me now
So
to
you
once
link
more.
it with
Okay,
the backbone,
wait.
right? And where does it meet?
Wait.
Here, right?
I think he's totally missed my
No,
explanation.
I want you to point it to me.
I will
that
if you
I can
allow me now.
understand from your point of
I will
view.
allow you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You may have totally forgotten the example that I gave you about who is me in between me and someone or my friend in Marble Arch. Does it have to be someone in the middle? You said no. Do you remember?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So when we talk about in between two reference points, it is not in between means in the middle. It could be anywhere in between, right? Anywhere,
I agree,
right?
yes.
So in between these two anterior and posterior, meaning front and the back parts, that goes all the way from the backbone and the ribs. This covers a lot of area because the backbone is all the way, the ribs is all the way from here to there, and the backbone.
Yeah.
So in between, I'm asking you, in between this, can that point refer to in
This
between
is
them?
not ribs.
So you don't understand what in between means then?
No, no, no.
Hang on.
Between.
Look,
okay,
look.
wait.
That is why.
Let me explain.
No, I need to clarify further.
Okay, let me explain. The ribs is in front of me.
Theo.
My backbone is behind me.
Theo,
okay.
that is why
No,
I need to clarify.
Let me say something.
But you will have the opportunity. Okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever can guarantee what's in between their lips and in between their legs, he will guarantee paradise. Yeah. Now, what is in between your lips? Is it your tongue? Is it your teeth? Is it your glottis? What is it? Chin.
Between my lips.
Yeah.
Top and the lower.
What is in between?
It's my mouth, inside.
Could it be your teeth? Could it be your tongue?
Teeth, yes,
right. So you cannot pinpoint anything, right? So this is a description in Arabic language when in between can refer to, well, what you say in between, right? In between your legs start from your hips to all the way at with your toes. Do you see how much part that covers? But when the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever guarantees what is in between the legs, he's referring to the private parts, right? Which is a specific portion within that region. Do you follow so far?
Yeah.
So the phrase min bayna shay'ain, in between two things, is not referring to something in the middle. First point. Secondly, when the Quran talks about in between the backbone and the ribs, somehow you think it must be in between these two component surfaces in the middle. I'm saying no, it's referring the whole of this process. Yeah, because you have a cylinder describing what's inside it with the two reference points, the anterior and the posterior, that anything in between this can be explained. The abdomen is included. The abdomen, the lower and the head, they're all inclusive of that description. But you mistakenly understand that it refers to something intersecting these 2 points like in a straight line. The answer is no. This is a forced interpretation which is not true to the text.
Can I say this? If I point here and I say this is also between the backbone and the rib, am I wrong?
Okay.
No, it's a question, yes or no?
No. I want to do one final example. What is the head in between your shoulders?
No, I asked the first question.
No, I will answer, God willing. I will answer.
Answer first.
No.
Ask me yours.
I want you to understand the principle.
I ask
Okay.
first.
Now I'm gonna. Okay. What?
I ask
Ask
first.
again, please. Ask again.
If I point here,
Yeah.
that is here between the backbone and the rib.
No. The ribs come from here.
It has to be in between them. So it's not in between, is
here?
it? Somewhere inside, in between, inside could be.
Here.
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
Could be. Inside, could be.
Inside.
Yeah, could be inside. Now, I want you to now understand something. Is your head in between your shoulders?
No.
This is the problem. That is precisely the problem of the comprehension of
the head
the
is
language.
above the shoulder. How can it be between my neck? Between the shoulder, that will be correct. No. See, if you say something, listen, no. A to B, yes. Whatever between A, from A to B is what is in between. But A cannot be between B as well. It's not possible. So the question
In
you
the
ask,
language, you can refer
yes,
correctly
that the head is
without
between the
making a
shoulder.
linguistic error. Your head is placed in between your shoulders. If you dispute that, then obviously the problem is not with science, the problem is with language and how we communicate language. When I said, is the private parts of a man and woman in between the two legs, you would certainly say no, wouldn't you?
Why?
Are you going to say yes?
Why would I say no?
Okay, so look, when you have two legs there,
Yeah.
in between could be here, right?
Absolutely.
Could it be here in the middle?
Yeah.
What are your private parts?
But why are you taking the part which is at the top?
Because it's still between.
No. Why are you saying it's okay to accept that this description in between is that part is something that referred to? You will have no problem.
Oh, I asked a
You know what?
question.
I think so far we've made our points.
See, this is what you did
If you
last
think-
time.
look,
Sir,
I want you to
pointed
conclude.
here. Let me say. I pointed here, and you said it's here rather.
No, I said it could be
It
referring
could
to the
be,
left.
exactly.
No problem.
So if I say from here, and you say it's from here, we both correct. But the point is, the question from this verse
Yeah.
is not talking of sperm, as you said.
No, I say
Yeah.
it refers to the fluid that contains the sperm.
It doesn't even say contain either.
I just told you the
you are
Prophet of
now
Islam
putting-
said this.
Let me say to you something else in Arabic, since I'm Arab, yeah? ماء الرجل. Listen.
Fluid. Exactly. Water.
ماء
It
الرجل.
doesn't-
Listen.
It can be.
Listen.
It can be sperm. It can be
Okay, just a minute.
just water.
Just a minute.
Brother,
Okay.
one moment. تفضل.
In Arabic language, listen. When we said